Hi, everyone. Today I'm talking with Liana from Presse Law. She's my go-to lawyer. So I just wanted to have a conversation about kind of their business, how it's impacted by COVID, and a couple other real estate lawyer questions that people always tend to ask us. So this is my new version of Sunday Spotlight because, we can't see people. So this is kind of the next best thing. So thanks for joining me, Liana.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so can you tell everyone a little bit about Presse Law? Like my family has been using Presse Law forever, and we now are working with each other very closely. So I'm just wondering if you can tell us kind of the history.
Sure. So I worked with my father, Derek, and he's had the business since I think 1979. He's opened up in Milton. So I joined with him in 2012. So we practice real estate, wills, estates, and corporate law.
Okay, so let's talk about COVID. Like obviously I'm doing business differently. I imagine you guys are doing it differently. Like how are you guys adapting to this?
So same thing as you, we're still essential services as well. So it's been kind of a growing pain. We put a sign up on the door that we're taking appointments only, so our office is closed to the public otherwise. And we've just been trying to do as much remotely as we can. But it's easy for corporate law to do remotely, and it's a lot more difficult to do remotely for real estate. So what we're doing is we're trying to do our meetings by Zoom or Skype or FaceTime. And then the only thing is the clients have to mail in originals or have to bring them by or something like that. We're trying to figure it out as we go along, I guess.
You're getting people
But
to
so
like
far,
print out the stuff and then kind of sign as you're going through it on Zoom.
yeah. So I'll just go through document by document. We'll each look at the same documents, and I'll explain what it is that they're signing. Then they sign in front of me, and that way I can see them signing, so I can then get the originals back and witness them.
So you guys aren't able to do like a DocuSign like we use.
Not yet. Not for like the law study has their own rules, and they're just this is the first time they've ever allowed us to do remote signing at all.
Right,
So, but they still want identification verification.
right.
So that's why it's kind of an
So
odd
it's
thing.
evolving still.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens after this.
So in terms of like checks and funds, like I know people usually bring you guys in a check. Is that sort of happening with the originals?
Yeah, because the only thing is we've been trying with wires, but then the wires have like a 3 to 5 day processing. And we had an experience last week where another lawyer wired money to us actually, and it got lost for 2 days. We're still relying on actual bank drafts and direct depositing in other lawyers' accounts rather than doing everything through wire.
So are there other delays that you're experiencing? Because we know like obviously the banks are inundated with like all of this stuff going on. Like are we seeing delays in closings due to like funds being transferred and stuff? Or does aside from like the odd wire not happening, do things still seem to be moving?
Yeah, still I think still business is normal otherwise. It's just the odd one or two that where that happens. And then people are still been pretty accommodating just because I think everyone's in the same boat. No actual extensions of closing dates.
In terms of COVID, is there anything else changing or happening that people should be taking into account when they're like doing anything on the lawyer side?
Yeah, I think the only problem is that a lot of people are trying to get their refinances in now, and it's a great time because the mortgage rates are really good. But it usually takes us quite a while to prepare it. Like that, once we get instructions, it usually is a week or two.
Right.
So that's the only thing. That's the only thing that sometimes is slowed down. I think people don't explain that to the clients is that it's not just done in an instant.
I don't think
Maybe.
a lot of people realize that lawyers are actually involved in like lines of credit and refinancing.
I think the only other thing would be like whatever reason we're really busy now from a couple months ago when you guys were busy before this all happened. So it's sort of strange in that sense where everyone else is slowed down and we're still busy, but then in a couple months we'll probably be slow.
Yeah, it's definitely slowing down. It's going to be interesting to see like overall how closings are impacted long term. We've sort of touched on COVID. I mean, you guys are definitely like, I think it's going to continue to evolve for every industry. Like it's really hard to just get thrown into this and figure out the safest, best way to service our clients as possible right now.
Yeah.
So let's like kind of shift from COVID so that people can get an idea of what else you offer. So in terms of wills, like maybe that does tie into COVID. Are you guys seeing an increase in people wanting to do wills because of everything going on? Is it more important now to be thinking about that? And like, what's the process of getting that done?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are thinking about it now just because it's sort of top of the mind disaster scenarios. So usually what's involved is usually we'll have people come in, give us instructions. We'll draft a will and send drafts out to them to make sure that looks good to them. Then when they're happy with it, they come back in and sign the final version. But right now with the COVID-19 stuff, we're having people usually do the instruction part remotely, either by phone or video, whatever is easy, or even just by email. And then going back and forth, sending email drafts back and forth. And then the only problem is that for final signing, we're trying to avoid in-person meetings as much as we can. So what we're trying to do is send instructions for how to fill it out yourself, and then saying when this is settled, have you come back into the office to sign it up, because for a will you need 2 witnesses to make it like legally binding. So as long as you can find 2 of your own witnesses, it'll still be a valid will. It's just that one of the witnesses needs to do an affidavit, and it's hard to get that done right now.
I know personally, we have a will and we're younger. Like, do you find most younger people don't even bother with a will? Or like, what are you finding kind of as like a trend with wills? Like, are people doing them?
Yeah, I think more people are thinking about it now. So I say if you have kids, for sure you should have a will, because that guardian clause is the most important thing. Like ideally, you do a will when you are younger, and you don't need to update it until you're a lot older. Like so we tried to set it up so that it lives on for quite a while for a bunch of different scenarios. So if this happens, then we still have this accounted for. If this happens, we still have a backup for that. So that's the goal anyway. But the main thing is like it's not that you'll lose your property to the government, which a lot of people are afraid of. It's more so that you want to make sure that you've made it as easy as possible for the people you're leaving behind.
Like dispersing of properties and dispersing of assets and stuff. Does it cut out the red tape? Like it's just the will, but once you've done a will, is there still more logistics, or is it kind of make it just really clean?
Yes, so kind of both. So if you have the will and your spouse, usually it makes it easy for the spouse sometimes. If you have a will and you don't have a spouse, or both spouses have gone, then you may still have to go through a probate process usually. And all that means is that you have assets that need permission from the court to administer. So the court then says, okay, we will appoint this person to be the executor for the estate. And then that allows the banks to act and you need to sell property and stuff like that. So the only thing is, in order to get probate, you actually need to pay tax up front. So it's a big chunk of tax. So most people try to do whatever they can to avoid the tax or avoid the need to probate. So having things in joint names avoids probate. That's the big one, usually for spouses especially, like, or even for elderly people trying to give their gifts before they die when they can.
The other question that like I get conversations about all the time is title insurance. My experience with you guys is like you always have people get title insurance. Is that like a mandatory thing? And what kind of things does it cover? I've had a few clients now that have had experience with title insurance and a positive experience with it. That kind of saved them a lot. But I'm just curious, like, is it automatic for every transaction? What's the main reason for having it? And what kind of things does it protect people from?
It's not automatic everywhere, but we use it for all of our purchases and refinances now. If you have a mortgage, the bank always requires title insurance now, for the most part. So title insurance covers you. The big thing is if someone stole your identity or tried to mortgage your house out from under you without you knowing, title insurance pays to reverse all of that. So it's a really rare risk, but it's a big risk. So that's the big one. But they also cover you if you bought a place and the former owner hadn't paid taxes, hadn't paid a water bill. They cover you to pay the bills, just to put you back in as if it was already for you. So you're not the one inheriting those risks. And it also covers you if you had work orders on the property. So say they built a deck without a permit, and then the town came along and said, you gotta take down your deck and start all over again. Then title insurance would get a quote to figure out how much it would cost to do that for you. And then they'd reimburse you for that cost.
So when you have the title search date in offers, is that tied together? Like when you're looking at title and you make sure everything's clear, like is title insurance tied to that, or is like title search date and title insurance like a total separate thing?
Yeah, they're separate actually. Yeah, they end up being separate. So title search is just for us to make sure that everything looks good on the deed, to make sure you're inheriting a property without problems, but it's only without title problems. And then title insurance would cover you, like they cover you for like even for some boundary disputes. So they don't cover you for fence issues, but they cover you if if there was no survey and the shed was built on top of a neighboring property or something like that, they would cover you to do a minor variance or to fix it properly.
Per like 100 mortgages, how many title claims do you actually end up doing? Is it a lot? Is it like surprising, or is it like very low, but it's awesome when they do have it?
Yeah, I'd say it's quite low. Like it's probably a good payoff for the title insurance companies because it's like when they do have something come up, it's low risk or it's usually like unpaid tax.
Okay, so I think that's it for today. Like, we just wanted to have a quick chat about, everything sort of new and what's going on and how the lawyer side of it is transacting. So thanks for having this chat.
Thanks for having me.
So Liana is located downtown Milton. If you guys want more information, their website's Presse, Presse law.com. I love them. They're fantastic lawyers, a family practice, always great service. So thanks for taking the time. Anna's got like a brand new baby at home with her. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Hopefully, if anything major changes, maybe we can do this again. But
Yeah,
hopefully this doesn't last too long and we can, start doing this stuff in person again.
I know. It's always nice working with you, Sarah.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.